Okay, second part of the study guide, questions 11 through 14. Simplifying fractions, again, just means to write it in simplest form, which would mean reducing. 72 over 84, they're both even, so they can both be divided by 2. Divide by 2, you're going to get 36 over 42. And then they are both divisible by 2 again. They're both even, so they're divisible by 2. You're going to get 18 over 21. They're not divisible by 2, but you need to think about if they can be divided by anything else. Try 3 would be the next number I would try. They are both divisible by 3. 18 is 3 times 6. 21 is 3 times 7. So if you divide both of these by 3, you're going to get 6 over 7. 7 can only be divided by 7, so 6 can't be divided by 7. Then you have it in simplest form. Your answer is 6/7. Again, look back at the original number. It's positive. Your answer should be a positive fraction. Number 12. Negative 96 over 150. I'm going to forget about the negative sign for a moment. 96 over 150. They're both even, so they can both be divided by 2. You're going to get, 2 is going to go into 9 4 whole times. We're going to get 1 left over, so that's 16. 2 goes into 16 8 times. Yeah, 48 times 2 is 96. 2 going into 15 would go 7 times. I'd have 1 left over. That's 10 left over. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay, they're not divisible by 2 anymore. I would again try 3 or 5 or 7. 48's not divisible by 5. I would say try 3. 48 is divisible by 3. 75's divisible by 3. I'd hope you would know that if you know a little bit about money, of saying 3/4 would be 75 cents. So these are both divisible by 3. And you're going to get 48 divided by 3. 3 would go into 4 1 whole time. You'd have 18 left over. 3 would go into 18 6 times. 75, 3 would go into 7 2 times. You'd have 1 left over. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 16 is only divisible by 2's and 4's and 8's. 25 is divisible by 5 and 25. You are done. Again, look back at your problem. It was a negative, so be sure you've got a negative sign on your answer. Negative 16/25. Number 13, this is a complex fraction, a fraction that is made up of 2 fractions. The key thing, again, like we've seen in past problems, the bar means divide. The middle bar especially means divide. So this fraction, written as a division problem, is actually 7/8 divided by negative 3/4. I tend to put my negative sign up with my numerator. And again, when you divide fractions, you don't really divide with fractions. You multiply by the reciprocal. The one you're dividing by, make it into a reciprocal. Some of you guys think of it as keep, change, flip, or keep, dot, flip. I want to keep reminding you of that word reciprocal. So this becomes 7/8 times the reciprocal is going to be 4/3, and again, I tend to put my minus sign up with my numerator. Reduce. 7 and 3 don't have anything they both can be divided by. I recommend you reduce before you multiply. 4 and 8 can both be divided by 4. So divide them both by 4. 8 divided by 4 would become a 2. Negative 4 divided by 4 would be a negative 1. The only rule we have for multiplying fractions is to multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So multiply 7 times negative 1, you get negative 7. 2 times 3, you get 6. That is your answer. I would accept that, or if you changed it into a mixed number, negative 1 and 1/6. And again, it was a positive divided by a negative. We'd better have a negative answer. So those are both acceptable. Number 14, similar to number 13, but before we can do this division, we need to figure out what this numerator is. We need to figure out what the denominator is. To do the numerator, you're going to need a common denominator. In order to add fractions, we need the bottom number, the denominator, to be the same. 4 and 3 both multiply up to 12. So you will multiply, I'm going to rewrite this, 5/4 plus 1/3 over 5/6 minus 1/6. Get a common denominator. Common denominator would be 12. So you multiply the 4 times 3. You have to multiply the numerator to go along with that. So that is going to be 15/12. And then the 1/3, you'd have to multiply the 3 by 4 to make it into a 12. Multiply the numerator also by 4. So it's plus 4/12. And so our numerator is actually 19/12. Don't worry about changing it into a mixed number right now. We're going to work with that in just a moment. 5/6 minus 1/6 is just going to be, you could put it over one denominator, 5 minus 1 over 6. That is going to be 4/6. I would reduce this though. Say both of those can be divided by 3 or by 2. So this becomes actually 2/3. So now what we have is 19/12 divided by 2/3. And again, you don't really divide with fractions. You multiply by the reciprocal. So this becomes 19/12 times the reciprocal of 2/3. It will be 3/2. See if there's anything reduced. The 3 and the 12, and again, that has to be one number above with one number below. The 3 and the 12 can both be divided by 3. So reduce it here, divide by 3. This becomes a 1. This becomes a 4. That's all the reducing you can do. You can't reduce the 4 with the 2 because they're both in the denominator. It's got to be one number in the numerator, one number in the denominator. That's all you can do. Multiply numerators times numerators, you get 19. Denominators times denominators, you get 8. 19/8 is the answer. If you wanted to change that back into a mixed number, you would say 8 goes into 19 2 times. That'd be 16. You get a remainder of 3. Put your remainder over what you were dividing by, and that is your mixed number. So 19/8 is the same thing as 2 3/8. We had a positive divided by a positive here, so our answer is a positive. 19 eighths, or 2 3/8.